It is the 4th day of December 2025. After taking a little bit of a sabbatical from making videos, because I was busy with other things anyway, and Thanksgiving coming up, and there's a lot of things coming up, I am back now in top form, and I may not make a video every day, but I'll certainly be making a video more often than I have been in the recent past. I want to talk about the Ukrainian war. About 4 months ago, in August, early August, I made a video summing up the Ukrainian war. As it turned out, it was exceedingly accurate, but it did not happen as fast as I had envisioned, to my amazement. At that time, I said the war was basically over, and 4 towns, Pokrast, Seviance, Kupiansk, and another one that I can't remember. It's very hard to remember these towns now, because as the war goes on, and once a town goes from Ukrainian control to Russian control, they change the name of the town. It's very difficult to pronounce them. But at that time, I pointed out that these 4 towns were surrounded, and most likely the Ukrainians would not do the smart thing, which is to tactically retreat before they all got killed and surrounded. Needless to say, they did not retreat, and now they have been surrounded, and I assume that most of them actually have been killed. The war must go on because there's a lot of money involved in the war. Now bear in mind, this war was over 2 to 3 weeks after it began, because the war was initiated in the foolish hope that the Russian economy would just collapse straight away. When that did not happen, that was their only way that war could have possibly been won. Militarily, it's impossible to defeat Russia because Russia are fighting on their own doorsteps, and the Americans are supplying logistics 8,000 miles across an ocean. But not only that, at the end of the day, Russians have a superior nuclear force, and believe me, they are not in the least bit reluctant to use it if their survival is on the line. Doesn't take a genius to figure this out. So now the Ukrainians are beat. The war is over. The other day, Zelensky came to Ireland, and the fools back there gave him $125 million euros to go along with the 350 million that they've already given them, bringing that to a total of almost 500 million euros, €500 million. There's people in Ireland that are living hand to mouth, and they can't even afford the necessities. I'm not even talking about the people that are homeless. I'm not even talking about the people that are living at home in their parents' house. I'm talking about regular people that, on the face of it, look to be in decent shape, yet they cannot afford to pay their utilities. Electricity in Ireland is the highest in the world, which means it's the highest in the universe. That's how high electricity is in Ireland. The reason it's high is very simple. As Val Martin, my good buddy, and myself made a video 13 years ago explaining to everybody why wind energy was the biggest load of bollocks ever foisted upon a foolish population. You might say, well, what do we know about wind energy? Well, Val Martin is a self-taught bit of a whiz up there in Cavan. He understands mechanics, and he's a self-taught practical guy. I'm somewhat knowledgeable because I have a degree in engineering civil, so I would know the basics as well. And at that time, I did an in-depth study and did a bit of reading to make sure I knew exactly what I was talking about, because usually I like to know what I'm talking about, which is somewhat unusual with Irish podcasters. Anyway, getting back to the war. What is being proposed now at least 3 times is the exact same version of foolishness that has been proposed, which is where the losers, that is the West, will hash out a peace treaty with themselves, not including the Russians at all. And they'll sort of present that as a fait accompli, expecting the Russians to say, oh, well, we have to sign on to this or else we'll be warmongers and whatnot. 3 times now the Russians have said, stick it where the sun don't shine, because our objectives are very simple. We have to destroy and eliminate the military abilities of the Ukraine. We have to denazify the country. We have to get a guarantee that they will never join NATO, and we're going to take our 2 oblasts, our provinces, our counties, or whatever you want to call them, and we're going to join them to Russia. That was their initial plan. Now, with the fullness of time, that has grown to 4 oblasts, and I expect it'll eventually go to 6, if not the entire eastern side of the country where the Russian-speaking people are. Why people in Ireland think that Ukraine is important as a country is a mystery to me. It can only be put down to total ignorance and stupidity. If they knew anything at all, which a lot of them don't, they would realize that Ukraine as a country never existed in world history prior to 1992. It's just something that was created somewhat like Czechoslovakia, a country that never existed either. It was just drawn on a map and created. And exactly as happened with Czechoslovakia, those 2 completely different groups of people, the Czechs and the Slovaks, and sure enough, common sense eventually prevailed and they both formed their own little countries, Czech and Slovakia. That's exactly what's going to happen to the Ukraine. Ukraine is going to be left with a Western rump. How big that rump is remains to be seen, because the fly in the ointment, or the spanner in the works, or whatever you want to call it, is Poland used to occupy a lot of that territory, and Romania also used to occupy a lot of that territory, and I would not be surprised if at all they decided that it was time to get that territory back. Now, Zelensky has only days left. He has already, I believe, been removed from power. Why I say that is the US negotiator, Kleptov, or whatever his name is, he just cancelled the meeting with Zelensky. Just didn't postpone it, he just cancelled it. Which means, in the eyes of the American administration, Zelensky is not worth talking to anymore. He is done and dusted. Some say he has been given till this Friday, which is tomorrow, to pack his bag and get out of town. We will see if that happens. Remember, of course, this day last week, which is Thanksgiving, that was the timeline that Trump set, that Ukraine must accept this deal, whether they liked it or not. That has passed to no avail. So it appears now as if Ukraine has been totally sidelined from the discussion whatsoever. The discussion now is between the military winner, Russia, and the United States, which hopes to get the best deal it can. And it's going to get a very good deal, because I know what the deal is. The deal is it's going to be a huge amount of cooperation between the United States and Russia in extracting very valuable rare earths, minerals, from a location that I wish not to say because I was sworn to secrecy on this location. But it will involve an Irish person at a high level, but not the fellow you might think down there in Abbeynockmay with the lack of hair. Not him, a different fellow. And when you see it, you'll remember that I said it. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So that is the situation. The poor Irish, they have given $500 million to this complete foolishness, which was never going to win from day one, and now we're facing into a winter where people can't afford even Santa, and it's just horrendous. Alright, well, thank you for watching. It's a pretty dour report, but that is the situation with the Ukraine. It is all over because it was all over 4 years ago. Thank you for watching.